Hello YouTube, this is Mahadeva the Thunder Wizard. I hope you're all doing well this evening, afternoon, morning, whatever the heck it is. Where I am, it's 10:48. Oops, I got on here a couple minutes late. December 23rd. So we've already gone through the actual solstice, I believe. We're heading towards Christmas. Come on, what's going on here? And I have no idea what any of that means. Anyway, I hope you're doing well wherever you are. Most likely you are in some kind of vacation mode, and I hope that's going well for you. So today what I want to talk about is what we've been talking about for a while. I want to share with you more of my experience. So again, I want to be very clear, especially nowadays, when I talk about whatever I'm teaching, I am talking about something I have personally experienced. I am not talking about something that is in a book, in a scripture, in what is popularly talked about. You know, I mean, if you were to ask me a year ago, if you were to tell me a year ago that I would be coming on here talking to you about the things I've been talking about for the past 6 months, I would have laughed at you. I just would not have thought that any of this, I mean, my understanding of reality has completely, totally been demolished and reconstructed again. And I do continue to live in the most unbelievable science fiction fantasy movie that anybody could write. There isn't a movie that could be written that would be more fantastical than what I experience on a daily basis. And surprisingly, I'm still very human, meaning I still have normal human ups and downs. But today, I just want to take a sober, practical look at what is actually happening to me. And of course, if it's happening to me, then it can be happening to anybody. So I don't think I'm anything unusual. I don't think anything that's happening to me is something that can't be happening to anybody else. And I can tell you now, I've been in this place now, working on a daily basis, communicating on a daily basis with higher dimensional beings, and on a daily basis, there are energies being pumped into me from higher dimensions. And so what I can tell you for a fact, what I believe is happening to me, is that not only am I being stimulated to vibrate on a higher level, closer to what we would call 5D, but I believe what is happening is that my three-dimensional body, my three-dimensional mind, certainly, my three-dimensional ego, is continuously being expanded by higher dimensional energies. I can only assume that what has happened to me is probably what will happen and what is happening to other people who are doing this kind of work. I do not believe what is happening to me is something that has happened to humans in previous times up until now. Based on what I have been told by my friends, the level of interaction that I'm experiencing would not have been possible if the electromagnetic field on the earth was the way it was even, 20 years ago, 10 years ago. The electromagnetic field has shifted to such a degree where they have the ability to begin to interact more directly with the third dimension. And what is happening with me, it was very, you were there for part of it. It really freaked me out. It was very strange. And as long as nowadays I don't try and figure it out, most of it. I've come to enjoy it. It's actually very pleasant. The amount of energy that I have, by energy I mean chi energy, who knows what other kinds of energy that I have. I've never experienced anything like it. And it's a direct result of having higher dimensional energy being pumped directly into my 3D space. I don't know exactly how that happens. I just know that it does. I know how it feels. But that's what's happening here. What's happening is that my body and my mind is being transformed into a higher dimensional vortex, a higher dimensional something or other. And so we talked a while back about this rainbow bridge to 5D Earth. And we talked about how what other people are saying. Bear in mind, I have very little understanding now about some of the stuff other people are saying. And let's be clear, the majority of the things that people are saying out there about all this, let's just be honest, they don't have any personal experience with it. Even the ones that are claiming that they're channeling things from higher beings. I am not channeling any of this. This isn't me channeling to you what I'm hearing in a supersonic speaker. I am telling you what is happening to me in a very real practical way. I don't need to channel so-and-so says. I don't need to do that. So let's be honest, the majority of the stuff that people are talking about, they're repeating what somebody else said, they're channeling, they're not talking from direct experience. And I'm all about direct experience. And so as a result, I am sharing with you here in the InterDimensional Shamanic Journey Meditation course, I am teaching you by direct experience how you can do what I'm doing. That's everything that I'm all about. If I experience something, I teach you how to do it. That's just who I am. I don't think I could function any other way. So what my friends have said they would like me to focus on today is to help you understand what I have been experiencing. But just get the knowledge across that you are an absolutely amazing, phenomenal, brilliant, unbelievable spiritual being that you cannot fully access if you are simply in your three-dimensional mind, ego, even just your three-dimensional physical body. You will not know that. You will not. If you were to see yourself, experience your true self in your in other words, if the 5D aspect of you, imagine you're here and then your 5D aspect is out here. If this part of you were to magically appear in front of you in 3D, you would drop to your knees and you would start worshiping that amazing, brilliant, spiritual being that was in front of you. And you wouldn't know that it was you. Now, that's kind of hard to do because, you're here, this is your 3D self, and then there's this big 5D part of you that's way back here that's sort of following along. And so what's happening is we want this 5D part to start merging with your 3D self. And this is where our light being friends come in. So understand that every single light being that is interacting with Earth, this is their soul purpose. S-O-U-L, their soul purpose, their soul desire. If you interact with a higher dimensional being, this is not just some run-of-the-mill Joe Schmo 5D being somewhere. This is a being who, for whatever reason, has been given the privilege and the opportunity to be a being whose your entire experience with them will be about your ascension. So we've been talking about ascension, not just me, but people have been talking about ascension for a couple of decades now. But the feeling that we have about it is that it's something we have to struggle and make happen. I certainly believe that. I've been working my tail off. I don't get into a whole lot of it here, but I mean, if I hadn't worked, basically as hard as is humanly possible, I wouldn't be alive. So ascension for me is something I had to do just to exist. I wouldn't have survived the abuse and the craziness and the pain and the dysfunction that I had earlier in my life. So we have all had this idea that we've had to work our tail off to achieve ascension. But guess what? You don't. Not anymore. 3D experiment has come to an end. 3D is over. I mean, it's going to take a while to make the shift and to change things around, but the word has come down. The document. We've gotten our eviction notice. You go look outside your 3D door, there's an eviction notice. Sorry, you're being evicted from 3D, but we're giving you new quarters in 5D. Please report to your 5D. That's what's happening. It's over. And we have these beings who, for the first time in human history, they get to give you directly, without any intermediaries, without having to work around the third dimension, without having to go through a religious belief, without having to go through channelers and gurus and prophets, without having to do any of that. You have direct access to the ascended masters. I was in a tradition that relied on energy transmission. You can call it Shaktipat, you can call it whatever you want. When I was training with people, there was a de facto energy transmission. That still happens. That's not going to go away. Energy transmission still happens from teacher to student. But you had to have that. You had to be initiated. And let me tell you what initiation used to do. When you had a guru that you were initiated into their tradition, that guru in some way, sometimes just his or her presence, maybe there would be a ritual, maybe they would put their hand on your head, That's happened to me a few times where I've touched somebody and they've gotten an energy transmission when I wasn't trying to make it happen. And what the hell did you just do? I didn't do anything. But there was an energy transmission that was happening. Whenever you do that, what's happening is that you are being infused with energy, spiritual energy that links you to a specific ascended master or a specific group of ascended masters. And this is called a tradition or a lineage. This is what lineages are. Somebody says, I'm from such and such yoga lineage, or I'm from such and such Taoist lineage. It means that they have been initiated either officially or just through osmosis into the energy of a higher dimensional being. If you are following my channel and you have done the Hool breath, if you don't know what it is, I'll type it in case you're new to the channel. You can go search for this anywhere. Won't cost you a dime. If you do that meditation, that is an initiation into the ascended masters that have been working with me for decades. That meditation was given to me when I was actually trying to merge some high-level traditions, because I'd come to the end of my tradition and I wanted to keep growing, and so the only thing left for me to do was, Frankenstein some other things together. And as I was experimenting with it, my energy was going all over the place, and I was, I needed some help. And of course, this was all planned out. They plan all this stuff out. And so one day, I just closed my eyes and I said, if there's anybody out there listening, I need a specific one-word breath, mantra, energy meditation to balance myself. And that ended up being the whole breath. At the time, I was grateful. As soon as I did it, my energy balanced immediately. And a bunch of other things happened, but it became clear to me that I was now the recipient of a new lineage. And so even though you've been on my channel and I tell everybody to do the whole breath and I've been giving it out to you for free, I haven't been making a big deal out of it because I don't care. I don't have any ego attachment. I'm only here to help anybody experience what I've experienced. That's it. That's all I'm doing. I'm just passing the bong around to whoever's there. That's it. I don't have an ego about it. But if you really want to know how valuable that is an energy practice that will initiate you into an energy connection to the ascended masters that have been teaching me. So now I'm only sharing that with you so you understand what's been going on. But all of the mystery behind that is gone. The veil is being torn open. I have this behind me here for a reason. It's a cool picture, but it's there for a reason. It's symbolic of what's really going on. They're not hiding anymore. They're not pretending to be angels or fairies or, anything else. They're not pretending to be anything other than what they are. They are people just like me and you who live in extremely powerful, much more expansive dimensions, which give them, just for the fact that they live in that dimension, far more energy. In fact, each one of them would be beyond what our 3D mind can imagine a god would be. Just a fifth dimensional being is far beyond what we could comprehend a god to be. And they're just normal people. But the ones that are here coming to Earth are ones who specifically have been given the assignment and simultaneously have volunteered. They've been training for perhaps millions of years for this very moment. I want you to think about that for a second. These beings have been training, have been preparing for this moment for perhaps millions or billions of years. Because this is the time when human beings are shifting. And so, it's happening like popcorn all over the world. I was lucky enough that I ran into Dr. Greer's work, because if I hadn't done that, I never would have, reached out and done CE5. And if I hadn't done that and been torn open and all the stuff that happened to me, I wouldn't be where I am. But the great thing is that I'm just giving you the simplest techniques that there are. And, the thing is, the more powerful a technique is, the more simple it's going to be. Always. This is a rule. I learned this a long time ago. So what I am, I'm not even suggesting it. I'm just telling you it's available if you want it. If you want it, you can say, I would like to be a 5-dimensional portal. I would like for my body, my energy body, my mind, to be one person called me an anchor, which I thought was great. Somebody said, thank you for anchoring this energy. And that was actually a very good way to put it, because that's exactly what's going on. What's happening with me is that I do my CE5 meditations where I call them to me and they show up and communicate and dump all kinds of energy into me and all that kind of stuff. There are times when they show up on their own and say, we need to talk to you. We have stuff we want to give to you. We want to share with you. And then there are, every single day it happens. There hasn't been one day. I can't, maybe there's been a couple days. I can't think of any. But pretty almost guaranteed every single day for long periods, I will just feel this higher dimensional energy being pumped into my body. And at first it freaked me out because I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know if they were talking to me. I didn't know what they were doing. I've now come to just understand that what's happening is they're just simply putting higher dimensional energy into me so that I can, who knows why? I don't know. We don't know yet. I've stopped worrying about it, and it's extremely pleasant. My health has gone through the roof. I'm physically stronger than I've ever been. I have more energy in my body than I've ever had. I understand things about the universe I never could have even comprehended before. And here's my problem. This has always been my problem. And this is why I teach. This is why I do these. You want to know why I rant for 2 or 3 hours? The reason why I do that is because I get downloaded these concentrated chunks of higher dimensional concepts that I walk around with, and I understand them on an internal level. And then I realize nobody else knows what the hell I'm thinking about. If I were to just walk up to the average person and even ask them the slightest question to see if they had any idea what was going on inside of me, they wouldn't have any clue, the majority of them. And so I have to learn how to take this concentrated energy and be able to verbalize it, because it helps me understand it. But I need to do that because people need to understand what this is. So that's part of my job. I'm one of those people that does that. What I am making available to you, and again, I'm not suggesting it. This is something you got to want to do for yourself, because if you don't want to do it, it's going to be way too freaky, probably. But to the degree that you want to, let me put it to you that way. To the degree that you want to, you can be a bridge. You can be a rainbow bridge to 5D. You can be a portal that wherever you go, you can bring this energy with you. But again, I'm not saying the most important thing my friends want me to say, which is that what they want to do, I want you to listen very carefully. What the Ascended Masters want to do to you, with you, and for you is to give you the experience of yourself that they have of you. They see each and every one of you. If you're a human being, each and every one of you, they see you and experience you as an absolutely blissful, amazing, beautiful, unbelievable being of light that is worthy of, the kinds of singing and praises that, we go to church to give to God. In fact, at least one day, I remember just all this incredibly blissful energy was just a couple days ago, flooding into me. And I can choose to either go about my day and, kind of just let it happen and do whatever. But, I can also just stop and close my eyes and see if I can listen. And I kid you not, there was a choir of beings singing for me, like they were singing this song to me. And they were just saying, we just want you to know how unbelievably beautiful you are from our perspective. That's it. You have to understand they don't have any agenda other than that. The only agenda that higher dimensional beings have with you is so that you will see yourself and love yourself. Now, in order to do that, you have to expand beyond your three-dimensional boundaries. And that, in the beginning, will be challenging. So, for instance, you could have two people standing next to each other. One person will be somebody who's had a lot of trauma. Trauma basically boils down to you've been devalued. That's all trauma is. Trauma means that you have been devalued and you do not see and love yourself. That's it. Whether it's been by abuse, physical abuse, mental abuse, spiritual abuse, society abuse, whatever it is, it devalues you and you see yourself and you have shame and you do not value yourself, which is why people seek for everything outside of themselves. Drugs, alcohol, sex, video games, narcissism, fame, money, pick it. You're looking for something outside of yourself because you've been devalued. So you could have two people standing next to each other. One person has been very devalued, very traumatized. You could have another person, let's say, who's either grew up in a healthy home and or went through a lot of self-development, whether that be counseling or meditation or both or who knows what. And that person has a more expanded appreciation of themselves and knows how to experience love and be loved. Traumatized people don't know how to be loved. It frightens them. In fact, the most frightening thing you can do to somebody is love them unconditionally. This is why narcissistic people are abusive. They abuse you because they don't know how to connect with you any other way. If you actually give them unconditional love, they will run the other way. They want you to, debase yourself and, create some kind of, contractual interaction, which you might mistake as love or they might mistake as love. But actual unconditional love is the most frightening and painful thing a damaged person can experience. They will run away from it. So you have two people. One person who's been devalued and has not evolved through it yet, and somebody else who's, for whatever reason, has a more expanded experience. You could have one higher dimensional being of light come to both of those people and send energy, the exact equivalent amount of energy to both of them, expanding them so that they can experience more love from the universe, which will be an expanded experience of yourself. The person who's been traumatized will think he's being assaulted. It will feel frightening to him. He will think somebody's trying to drive him crazy or kill him. Because his understanding of reality, he doesn't realize it, is that he doesn't have any value. And if you come to him and give him this huge experience of unconditional love, it will frighten the hell out of him. The other person may also feel frightened, but they will have a capacity to see it as a very blissful, loving experience. So you could have two people, and you could say, that being of light appeared to you and went, what happened? One person will say, that being assaulted me with this energy. I'm still feeling it, but I think I've lost my mind. I think I don't know what's going on, and I don't know what reality is, and they could have an actual meltdown, end up in the hospital, going crazy, because they've been programmed to hate themselves, and when love is given to you, there's gonna be this big conflict, sparks coming out. That's what happened to me. At least twice now that's happened. And the other person will say, yeah, it's really, I gotta absorb this, I gotta meditate on it. I'm kind of freaking out here, but the intensity of the love I'm feeling is, I've never felt this kind of bliss before. And they're going crazy because they can't comprehend experiencing this much love. They've never seen, it's going beyond their 3D ability to understand. So they're going crazy for a different reason. So while I'm telling you all of this, it's up to you. What I'm here to tell you is that what they want is they want you to love yourself the way they love you, which is beyond your comprehension. And the good news about that is that if your ability to love yourself expands to that degree, you will become more evolved. Because that's the problem with all of it. All of the problems in our world, pick it. I don't care if it's pollution, child trafficking, deep state, violence, and pick it. Whatever the hell is an actual problem, every single one of those problems can be traced back to one thing. And that is people operating from their sense of devaluation. Because when you act towards others the way you see yourself, a narcissist isn't somebody who loves himself more than you. It's not what a narcissist is. I know that's what they look like, but that's not what they are. A narcissist is somebody who hates themselves to such a degree that they can't tolerate, even for a second, experience their inner self-hatred. So they project it onto you. They pretend, they're not really pretending, what they're doing is they're transferring to their fantasy. They have an inner fantasy that they wish they could be. And because they're so damaged, their fantasy of a successful person is God. They think, everybody loves God, God is happy, and the Jehovah. That's where Jehovah came from, by the way. But it's a really warped fantasy that's inaccurate. It's not because they love themselves. They hate themselves so much they can't even tolerate the thought of it. If they were to feel their own self-hatred for 1 second, it would literally kill them. They'd blow their brains out. Many of them do. That's what's happening when you see those murder-suicides. That's what's happening. Somebody is no longer able to tolerate their self-hatred, their narcissism, and they have to take other people out with them. They can't, So we are going to have to face our narcissism, all of us. And narcissism is a byproduct of the third dimension, because the third dimension is about isolation. Isolation creates a feeling of devaluation, especially isolation without spirituality. Now, our ancestors who lived in 3D, but they had a very vibrant, shamanic spiritual connection. This is what animism is. This is what shamanism is, where you see that everything has a spirit. And a shaman is somebody who communicates with the spirit of all things. That's very rare now. In fact, people who call themselves shamans now have to take hallucinogens to be able to have that experience. I mean, the symbolism is very clear. They need something outside of themselves to give them permission to feel connected to everything. Truth is, you've never needed that. That's only been to crack you open out of your narcissistic isolation. It's the only reason that hallucinogens were even given to human beings. We have the capacity in ourselves to do it without any of that. And even in the cultures that had it, the whole point of it was just to crack you open, and then you don't need it anymore. But we're so isolated, we're so narcissistic that people go back, all the time and keep, taking all these hallucinogens and do really horrible things to their energy body because they can't love themselves enough to allow themselves to experience it. And bottom line is that's what our friends are here to do. So if I just described you, good. I just described myself too. And I'm telling you, what I've experienced has been beings reaching down to me and giving to me these energies and these experiences. Even though I've been doing all this energy work my whole life, none of the stuff that I've mastered has come even slightly close to what happens when these beings interact with me directly and give me energy directly. When they give me, when we talk in 3D, I give you concepts, I open my mouth, words come out of my mouth. The concept that goes into your brain, even if it is, profound and brilliant, let's hope, is still a three-dimensional concept. So whenever these beings communicate, and by the way, they only communicate telepathically. They can't communicate across dimensional barriers using sound. It doesn't work. They can only communicate to you telepathically, which means that when they communicate to you, thoughts will begin to emerge in your mind that you, in the beginning, might not know the difference. You might think your mind is sort of thinking on its own. You learn how to, and I'm still learning, by the way, but you learn how to know the difference between your thoughts and a thought that's being telepathically given to you. But it's still a three-dimensional computer. It can only think in three-dimensional terms. So they'll give you a 5D, or if you're really lucky, or maybe not so lucky, if a sixth or seventh or eighth or ninth dimensional being comes to you and they communicate to you, I mean, there have been things that have been communicated to me that my brain literally just goes, I just don't have words for this. I mean, it'll just reach for the most grandiose 3D concept and just paste it on there because it can't tolerate a higher dimensional thing. So afterwards I'll go, that just can't be real, because what I've just heard was so grandiose. But it's only grandiose in the third dimension. In the fifth dimension, it's just a normal, hey, how are you? Here's directions to Walmart. It's just normal stuff. But it's higher dimensional concepts that the three-dimensional brain is trying to figure out. So anyway, I'm starting to babble here, so we'll leave it at that. The Interdimensional Shamanic Journey Meditation course, I just uploaded a new one. This is now the beginning of how we can meditate interdimensionally. And I'm giving you techniques that if you are desirous of it and if you are capable of it, you can start experiencing some of the things I just have been describing. And this is what they want. They want everybody on Earth to start experiencing themselves as these incredibly amazing, beautiful, loving, unbelievable, lovable beings of light. If you just get if you can just get 1% of an awareness of who you really are, you will never be insecure again. You will never have any negative feelings towards yourself again. So I guess I must not have gotten even 1% yet, because I still have some negative thoughts that come in, but you get where I'm going with this. So, Interdimensional Shamanic Journey Meditation course, go to thunderwizard.com and you can subscribe. My suggestion is to subscribe to the Warrior 90-Day Lightning Qigong, because that energy practice will give your body the ability to handle more and more intense, higher dimensional energies and communications. Okay, so we can do things to it's like going to the gym. So go subscribe to Warrior 90-Day Challenge. You'll have access to the Interdimensional Shamanic Journey Meditation course. I do have new books out, which you can go to audiobooks.thunderwizard.com, or you can just go to michaelwilliamdenny.com, or just type in my name in Amazon and you'll see my books. I'm on a writing kick right now. Anyway, let's take a look and see if there are any questions. If there are, I'm happy to take them. You know the deal. If you have a question, write the word question in all caps. If you have a feeling, write a feeling in all caps. I'm not interested in anything else, nothing personal. I want your questions and your feelings, not only because it helps me to help you, but that's how they function in my experience. I'm not speaking for them. That's how they function best well. If you have a question or if you share your feelings, that helps them interact with you on a higher level. Vincent.thunderwizard.com says hello. You know him, one of my Vedic astrologers. He's got his own website. You just heard me give it to you, Vincent.thunderwizard.com. You can see all the good stuff he does there. Go check him out. Thundra, same thing, THUNDRA.thunderwizard.com, one of my Vedic astrologers. She does a bunch of other cool stuff as well. Go check her out. Amanda, honest feeling. I just purchased your new interdimensional book. I'm looking forward to reading it. I'm looking forward to you reading it also. Oscar Demchuk, question. Are you also able to telekinetically move? All right, so Oscar, you're new to my channel? Here's how I want to answer that question. Why don't you go here, sign up for this course, and start doing what I'm doing, and you tell us. What good does it do you if I tell you what I can do? So if you've been on this channel long enough, you've heard me talk about things I've done in the past, even before I got into working directly with higher dimensional beings. Just by doing this and the spirit fighting stuff, there are things that I've been able to do that go beyond understanding. But how does that information help you? It doesn't. You know, do you want me to go into the garage and get out a tape measure and see if my arms are still 16 inches? How does that benefit you? Unless you're the one going to the gym, lifting the weights, unless you're doing the work, let's just be honest, it's just entertainment. It's just porn. So, Oscar, let me help you understand what a question is for me. A question is, you're asking me about something you desperately want to understand, a concept or a practice, and you think I have the answer for it. Asking me this kind of a question doesn't answer anything for you. So learn to think a little more deeply. Come to me with a question that really strikes you deeply. But to answer your question, you don't need me to answer that. You go do the work and you tell us what happens. You might end up being 100 times more powerful than me. I'm not trying to compete with anybody. You go pull that off and tell us how it works. I'll be more than happy. I'll go onto your channel and buy your book. If you can say that you learned how to telekinetically move cars with your higher dimensional energy, I'd be more than happy to hear about that. But you know, don't be lazy. Go do the work yourself and then come tell us about it. All right. Honest, Oscar now has a feeling. He says, I am positively overwhelmed by the energy teachings you have taught you. I'm happy to hear that. And I'm grateful and thankful to have you talk seriously and confirm everything I'm experiencing around me. Well, that's awesome. That sounds great. Cademan Vreher, honest feeling. Feeling not so lonely and relief about our guides being here. Been talking to my Ishta and have been feeling and seeing coincidences like never before. Thank you for all you do. You're very welcome. So he talks about his Ishta. Ishta is a Vedic term, Ishta Devata, which means the preferred deity. So the preferred deity is a deity that has chosen you, means chosen deity. So if you want to learn what deity has chosen you, so that you can work directly with a deity that you don't have to work really hard to get their attention, go to astrology. I'll type it in here for you. And when you go there, astrology.thunderwizard.com, you'll see both Vincent and Thundra are both there. So they are they're both, each of them is one of my astrologers. And then you can find out, what your chosen deity is. All right, I'm feeling kind of bad. I feel like I was kind of harsh on Oscar. I appreciate your question, Oscar. But I'm also very serious about do the meditations, man, and let us know. If that is something that you find interesting, you go see if you can pull that off. I could care less about that, to be honest. What abilities I have or don't have, I don't care. There's only one ability that I want. Would you like to know what it is? There's a superpower that I want to have. And that superpower is I would like to be able to do the same thing that these beings do. When they energetically appear in front of me and when they telepathically send me these energies and these thoughts, I would like to be able to do that to other people. That's the superpower that I want. I don't care about the rest of it. That's just me. But it doesn't mean you can't want that. I wouldn't judge anybody for any superpower. And I'm dead serious about that. Having experienced superpowers and then decided the ones that I had I don't really want because it doesn't mean anything to me. The path to finding them is a very legitimate path to spirituality. Of course, once you get the superpowers, then you have to go through the test. And the test is if you try to use them because you're still coming from your insecurity, then you will suffer. In fact, I know a guy who got superpowers. He worked really hard to get them. I'm not going to tell you who he is or what he can do. I don't even know if he can still do them or not. But he got superpowers. And he used them for his own self-aggrandizement. In fact, he let people think he was a bodhisattva. He let people think he was a prophet, a wizard, the ultimate guru. He let people think that. He would talk like he wasn't, but he would let people talk about him like that. And I won't get into the rest of it. And he used that. He not only used his powers, but he used the idea that people thought that he had these powers for his own ego. And he got very sick. And he's still alive to my knowledge. I think he might have had a beatdown, an energy beatdown. Might have had some humbling experiences from it. I'm happy he's still alive. I wish him no ill will. But that was a real eye-opener for me. So don't go after that stuff. It doesn't mean anything. I mean, look, you can go after it if you want. Just ultimately when you get it, you're going to realize it's not going to give you anything. It doesn't give you fulfillment. It doesn't give you satisfaction. It doesn't give you anything. All right, let's see what else. Josh P. So Josh, look above you. I've seen your name before, right? You've been on here before? And so you know the drill, right? You know how I want people to write the word question, right? It really makes me happy when people follow my suggestions. It makes me happy because not only is it respectful to me and everybody else, but it shows that you're paying attention. Because the two most important things in life are this: to pay attention and put effort. So if I tell you something and you're not paying attention and you know you're supposed to do it and you forget, it means you're not paying attention, you're not putting effort, which means you won't benefit from anything as much as you could. Makes me happy when I see, even though I don't say it, when I see people following my suggestions about how to interact with me. It makes me happy because I see that they're paying attention and putting effort, because what I want more than anything is to be able to help you achieve the most, experience the most, and this is how life works. Pay attention and put effort, and you get something out of it. You say. Question, can I use your methods to benefit myself in this realm? I don't know what you're asking. What do you mean? Can I use your methods to benefit yourself, what, in the third dimension? How would it not benefit you? How would being more healthy not benefit you? How would thinking more expansively not benefit you? How would being more connected to your soul not benefit you? What you really want to ask me, Josh, what you really want to ask me is, can I use this to aggrandize myself with money, fame, chicks, stuff that you have been programmed to believe has real value? And the question is, you can do whatever you want with my methods. I'm not there. I've given you the methods. What you do with them, I can't do anything about. I can't stop you from doing anything. I mean, if I'm going to give out anything, once I've given it out, it's out of my hands. I can't control it. You're the one. You know, somebody said to me, somebody very close to me, I was asking about something that I wasn't sure about, that I didn't know how I felt about. And I was asking, is it okay if I do this and this? And the person said, and it had to do with them, which was most amazing. And the person said, you're the one that has to live with it, not me. So it's up to you. So Josh, you're the one that has to live with it. But your question is coming from a place of lack and insecurity. The assumption behind your question is that what I'm teaching you is so spiritual it won't benefit you. You won't be able to get money or health or chicks or power or wealth or all the stuff, cars, all the stuff that you think benefit you in the third dimension. You have a split in your mind between spiritual benefit and physical benefit. Your physical reality is a manifestation of spiritual power. So how is more spiritual power going to somehow not benefit you in the physical as well? Do you not see that if you benefit spiritually, you'll also benefit physically? If you don't see that, let me change that understanding for you. There is no separation between the two. And nothing is inherently bad. The only thing that could be called sin, and my teacher said it great, he said sin stands for self-imposed negativity, is when you act from your own fear, from your own self-devaluation. You know, when somebody steals from somebody else, they're operating from their assumption that they can't get it. They don't deserve it. They've been victimized. They won't get what they need. The universe doesn't love them. These are all the assumptions, because you wouldn't steal from somebody else, because in your mind it's either they have it or I have it. We can't both have it. So I'm going to steal it from you so that at least I have it. That's coming from a place of self-devaluation. So if you operate from a self-devaluation, even if you're a nurse who spends all of her spare time going to the hospital and you're a doormat for everybody, because in your mind your worth comes from debasing yourself and doing everything for everybody and fixing everybody and getting everybody to love you, that's self-devaluation, and it's destructive. It's abusive to other people. You don't think it is, but it is. You can abuse somebody by standing and calling them names and throwing rocks at them and hurting them. You can also abuse people by trying to people please them in the hopes that they'll make you feel better about yourself. That's abusive. You're using people for your own self-aggrandizement, but instead of standing above them, you lie down beneath them. It's the same thing. It's two sides of the same coin. One side is narcissism and the other side is codependence. They're not It's not a spectrum, it's a coin. To flip the coin, it's the same thing. So I don't care how you use it, but if you use it to be more happy and more evolved, there's no way you won't benefit. You'll get more money because you'll go after a living that will make you happy. You'll stop manifesting lack and other things in your life because you will love yourself. You will get love because you will be treating people from a place of unconditional love, which will make them want to love you back. You'll get popularity. There's just nothing you won't get. But the great thing is you don't have to think about it. In your mind, I have to think about it. Well, I want this and this and this. Can I use that to get it? You can try. You might as well just do it to make yourself happy. It's a lot easier. Get everything without any of the work. Okay, Oscar thank you for taking my shame away from me. Oscar, remember how to ask a question, please. Do you have any teachings on alchemy? So, Oscar, you're relatively new to my channel, yes? So, you can always go to my channel page, the Thunder Wizard DOTCOM page, learn how to search within the channel. There's a way to do that. You can go and search the whole channel based on whatever keyword you want. I say that because I tend not to respond well to these kinds of questions. I prefer that, you know, if I'm not, what I want is I want people to ask me questions about what I'm talking about. And if I'm not talking about a certain subject or teaching about a certain subject, unless you know because you have learned it. Like, in other words, if somebody wanted to ask me a question about Qigong because they've done the 90-day challenge and they've learned a certain technique, that's not going to bother me. So you can ask me about stuff I teach, but when you ask it in a way where I know that you've learned it, then I'm going to want to answer it. When you're asking a question, do you teach such and such? What you're telling me is that you haven't put any effort into searching my channel. You haven't put any effort into spending time learning what I teach. When you go to train with a Chinese martial artist, I mean, they don't exist anymore. You know, the weird thing is going on in China now. Like, if you want to learn Wing Chun in China, you'll go to a Wing Chun class and there will be some American guy or some European guy teaching Wing Chun because they don't teach it in China anymore. So weird, everything's all backwards there now, for the most part. But back in my day, if you wanted to learn from a Chinese teacher, you went in and you said to the teacher, I would like to learn. And that's all you said. You didn't say anything else. You didn't walk in and say, do you teach this? If you did, the teacher would say, thank you very much for coming, there's the door. Because it shows that you're not coming in with an empty cup, and it shows that you don't think the teacher has something beneficial. So you don't realize, Oscar, by asking me that question, you devalued me. Because if I say yes, then you're going to go, oh, good, you're teaching stuff I like. That still devalues me because it's your selfishness. If I say, no, I don't teach that, then you go, oh, he doesn't teach what I wanted. It's devaluing to me. And if you want to learn, never devalue a teacher, ever. So the easiest thing to do is just walk in and say, I want to learn. If a teacher's talking, you listen. If you have a question, have your question be associated with what I'm talking about or with what you know I've taught. And if you have a question about if I teach something, go and look on my channel for it. If you can't find it, guess what? I don't teach it. If you can find it, good for you. Instead of having me do the work for you, you went and did the work and got it yourself, which means you will consume it and learn more of it because you worked for it. And that's what I want from my students. And I want that because I want what's best for you. I hope you guys figure that out. That really my whole goal here is I'm only interested in helping you. It's the only goal I have. Even when I'm harsh with you, it's because I want to help you. It's the only thing that I care about. I care about that more than I care about you liking me, subscribing to my channel, In fact, there are people who kiss my ass who I'm the most harsh with, because I can see in their ass kissing that they have some devaluative, if that's a word. There's a devaluation and a selfishness and a narcissism in the question that's not serving them. And so I'm happy to, when somebody can, you know, oh, you're a blah, 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 but if they're not learning in a way that's helpful for them, I'm more than happy to take that compliment, throw it out the window, and put the mirror up in front of them. All right, that's it. We're all done. So the bottom line is, I don't see any questions here. I don't see any other feelings. The bottom line is here, I am giving you the opportunity. I want to make sure I'm not putting any pressure behind this. I'm putting pressure behind this because everybody needs to do it. It's a 3D thing, and we all need to do it. So the 90-day challenge, you all should be doing it. There's really, let me just give me a second here. There really is absolutely zero excuse for anybody watching me who's not subscribed to the Warrior 90-Day Challenge. There's no excuse. The only valuable excuse you could tell me is that you're 10 years old and you don't have any money. If that's not your excuse, there's literally no excuse. I know you pay for your phone, you pay for your coffee, you pay for your weed, you pay for all kinds of stuff. You just don't want to pay for this. You want to come and listen to me for free, you want to get all the free stuff. Everybody should be subscribed to that. And I'm saying that in all honesty. There is nothing that even comes close to what I teach here. Nothing. Now, having said that, I'm not saying that about this. I am saying to you, I am giving you an opportunity. If you choose to, if you feel drawn to it, if you want to expand and have some of the stuff I'm talking about. InterDimensional Shamanic Journey Meditation Course, thunderwizard.com. Go there or don't go there. All right, I think I'm done. That's it. We're all done. Thank you so much for showing up. I love you all. I wish you all the best. And I'll see you guys all soon. I'm sure you'll see me, even though it's Christmas, because I got nothing better to do. I'm sure you'll see some videos from me. All right, that's it, my friends. Let's get together again soon. If I don't see you, happy Christmas Eve and Merry Christmas and whatever the heck you Kwanzaa, whatever the heck you worship. All right, see you next time.